Okay, so now we've got our business stacked up to where we have some sort of leave it intake person, administrative, transaction coordinator, maybe doing both jobs. Mm-hmm. We got a bookkeeper hanging out. Now we're doing more deals. Now we're up to like maybe it's 40 wholesale deals or 40 flips.
Okay.
I mean, we start to kind of diverge the roads a little bit as you start to scale up in volume. But what do you think? What's the next hire?
It's a good question. I mean, we haven't talked about Dispo yet. That's somebody else that needs to be, especially if you're a wholesaler, obviously. We had a conversation today with somebody, right? And so Dispositions is near and dear to my heart. Where some people like sales is near and dear to their heart. Acquisitions. I'm not a great salesperson, but I think I'm great at Dispositions, and they're not the same. They're different skill sets. I know because I'm not good at one and I'm good at the other. So I think maybe a Dispo guy or gal is somebody you should be thinking about, because there's money to be made on the back end of a wholesale deal. It doesn't all happen when you get the property under contract. Some of that revenue and some of that profit is actually generated by the dispositions person, and that's an often overlooked. The gentleman we were talking to today, I won't name him, but his term was, or what he said was, dispositions is easy. Disposition easy. I don't worry about it. And I think that attitude tells me, without even looking at his business, that he's probably losing money on that end of it, because he's not treating it with the same seriousness that he treats the acquisitions part. And I think it's a huge mistake.
Yeah, and I think too, you got to be careful not to be too nice. Like, this guy was super nice, and he would put like a buy it now price on his properties, and he's putting all the power into that buyer as opposed to keeping the power as the seller, especially in this time. I mean, honestly, Mike's advice probably made that guy $50,000 to $150,000 if he implements it.
Yeah,
it was really
volume.
cool. Yeah,
with his volume for sure.
Okay, and then on the flipping side, I guess if you're doing a bunch of projects, you're starting to think about maybe a project manager. You want to make sure you have a good realtor in house. And I'm going to tell you guys, like, if you can find a really good realtor to list your properties for sale, they want the volume. So I'll tell you what we pay. We pay our realtor in both of our markets about $2,750. Right? Okay. So it's like it works out to be, I don't know, not even a percentage wise, it's just a flat fee.
Okay.
And so a lot of house flippers out there, even in the Altitude group, they're like, oh, we pay our realtor 3%. Look, you're bringing them tons of value, tons of business. There's no reason to pay your realtor 3%. And I don't want to offend any of the realtors out there. It's just the way it is. If I have 40 listings and I'm going to bring them to you and dump them in your lap, and you don't have to do any work for them, it's, you need a discount. And so work those numbers out. That can work out in your favor. You can probably save $3,000 to $4,000 every transaction, and hire somebody else.
Yeah,
that's
a really great advice, because me, as someone who's not, you're a realtor, right? Mm-hmm. So you just disclosure here, right? Terry's a realtor, so I'm not a realtor. And so the interesting thing is, Terry says this, and as he's talking, I was thinking, I didn't even really think of that as an option. Like, whenever I was flipping, if I had a realtor sell it, I just thought, I have to give them 3%. Like, that's what they expect. That's the industry standard. I should give them 3%. But as a realtor, you're saying, you're looking at it from their perspective and saying, like you said, there's no work involved here. You're just dumping the property. They don't have to go find it. They don't have to get that listing. And so you deserve a discount. So that's something, even me having done this for a number of years, I wouldn't necessarily think that's something I should be doing. So It's great. Yep.
Okay, so project management, if you're going to bring a project manager on board, they're anywhere between, I'm going to say 40,000 unskilled, all the way up to 60, 65, maybe even 70,000 for somebody that's skilled and has their own general contractor's license. Our guy, he's above 50K. And he's got a general contractor's license. He's built 1,000 houses in Florida. He's renovated 1,000 houses. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he's become the backbone of our team. I mean, he owns these projects. And so it's really important that you kind of vet out your project management on the flipping side and figure that whole thing out. Again, I think we have to kind of come back to home base really quick and say, this is all dependent upon there is no step. Like, every person doing 40 deals needs to hire this person.
Yeah.
Right? It's all about your passions, what you're good at, what you like to do.
Yep. How busy does your day job keep you, if you have one?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much time do you have available? So you mentioned that the project manager. Question for you, because I don't do a lot of flipping. should your project manager, if he has a builder's license, should he be swinging a hammer? Should he, what should he not be doing? Is it important to have a builder's license? Is that a good thing?
Yeah, no, I think it's important. We love having somebody with a builder's license because we can build houses. So if we find a great deal on a lot, I know this guy can go build a profitable property. He knows how it works, and he can get that done for us. And we're wanting to do more and more of that. From a skill perspective, you have some people who are really good about overseeing all the subcontractors. I like a guy who's going to build a Super Bowl winning team of subcontractors, right? Yep. His job is to go out, meet and greet. We want the vendors in that community to want to work for our company versus somebody else's company. And in order to get that, the guy's got to be respected. He's got to be experienced. He's got to mentor these guys. And I mean, we hit the jackpot after 4 tries. And that's the other thing, right? It's going to take many tries. We've done some podcasts on hiring. You can go listen to those. But
yep, totally.
What else do we need to hire?
Well, let me talk about real quick on this project manager. How or do you tie them to the net, and how does that look?
So we asked him on the front end, would you rather get a higher base or would you rather get a lower base plus bonuses?
Yeah.
And he chose this guy, and he chose the higher base. Okay. And for various reasons in his life, that's what he wanted, and we gave him what he wanted. Yep. And I think it's important. Yeah, we go back to everybody needs to be involved in sales. This guy takes extreme ownership of these properties, and eventually, because he's done such a good job, we will move him over to his raise won't be a raise. It's going to be a tied to net raise.
Gotcha.
Right, so we're going to implement that. As we go.
Yeah, got it. That makes sense.
But I mean, this guy's got stuff he has to take care of. He has to be able to rely on how much he's going to make every month, and some people are like that.
Yeah, one thing too. You touched on it a little bit. You weren't going in this direction, but it made me think. When you are hiring people, like Terry just said, like a project manager, unskilled, 40,000. Maybe if they have a builder's license and they have a little bit more experience, a little bit more. I think and you tell me how you do it, but for me, I ask people what they want to make, right? Because sometimes we get surprised. Again, going back to the gentleman we were having lunch today with, he has a rock star on his team that he pays kind of a low amount, but that's what she wants. That's what she's happy with. He found out what she wanted, and he gave her what she wanted, and she's happy. So sometimes we sort of graft onto people what we think they want or what they should want. And it can work the other way. If you ask them how much they want, they might tell you they want $100,000 for a $50,000 job. But a lot of times people will say, hey, maybe you're willing to pay them 40. They're unskilled. Maybe they say I need 35. And the great thing is if you say, okay, I can pay you 35. In your mind, you were going to pay them 40. There's some room for bonuses or growth, and it doesn't really eat into any more of the profits than you were planning on spending. And everybody's happy because they got what they wanted.
Yeah, I hope everybody got that gold bomb. Bill Allen, that's a question he always asks too. Like how much are you looking to make?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And he puts them on the spot to come up with an answer. And then if they're super low, right? Let's say you have a lead intake person says, I only want to make $8 an hour. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd feel bad almost paying $8 an hour, but I would say, well, how about we pay you $8 an hour as your base, and then if every deal we get, we pay you 1% of the net, or $100 or $200.
Yeah, because you really have to think when you're starting your company and you're starting to build a team, you can't give away the farm day one. There's nowhere to go, and people, it's human nature. They might be happy with what they make day one, but a year in, 2 years in, at some point, they're going to want to make more money. And if you've given them everything you can possibly pay that position day one, there's nowhere to really go. And you end up losing good people because you can't increase their... And then you'll be surprised too, guys. Now I'm talking to you as like business owner to business owner. What you find sometimes is you bring people in and you're paying them what they wanted. But sometimes, in this business, there's big paydays. If you're flipping houses, it's not crazy that you're going to make $20, $30, $40, $75,000 on a flip, and the team sees that, and they start getting a distorted reality of where the profits are and how much they should make, and people start getting a little bit interested in making more when they see how much money the company's making. So I'm always a fan of leaving some room there, like paying them what they want, but if it's not what I was going to pay them or what I think they ultimately are going to be worth, giving yourself some room for growth.
Yeah, and I think too, going on that, if you give yourself the room, you can be super generous on a really good month, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have a killer month and you want to send spa gift cards to your whole team
Right.
and to go get a massage or a pedicure or whatever, right? Like
Yep.
whatever you want to do, you can like be this super generous person
Yep.
because you didn't give it away too early.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's huge. That's
Yeah, you got to
really
be careful. I've seen more than one person set up. A lot of times it happens on with the commission people, right? You make the commission really high because in the beginning you don't have a lot of volume, and you feel like I've got to give them a really high commission or they won't make enough to live on. And then your business starts scaling and you're crushing it. It's real tough to lower that commission. It's a tough conversation, right? So maybe that commission made sense when you're only doing a couple of deals, but now you're doing 15 deals a month, and these people are way overpaid, you know, and it's difficult to take away money, and then you end up losing a good person. So just think long term, right? I tell the people all the time, whatever you do in your business, whatever decision you make, whatever system you put in place, whatever salary structure you put in place, look at your business now and then 10x it and see if that structure, if that idea still works. And if it doesn't, you might want to go back to the drawing board and think about it, because you're hoping that your business does grow and scale. And if your processes, if your pay structure, if it doesn't scale appropriately, you're going to be in trouble. Like success will cause you problems that you could have avoided.
Yep. Can we talk about commission salespeople for a second?
Go ahead.
So two primary, right, in the business, commission salespeople: acquisitions people and dispositions people, right? Mm-hmm. And so our thoughts, or at least what I've noticed in the group, and you can kind of weigh into, people typically, the 10% seems to be the normative range, 10% of the net. And then, but I've seen as low as 5 and as much as 15. Mm-hmm. Is that about right?
Yeah, 5's pretty low.
Yep.
15 is probably the high end, but it's usually between 10 and 15. Yeah, and I think that's about appropriate. And then, you know, you mentioned dispositions. I think this is something to think about. I didn't really think about this in the beginning, but when you're paying your acquisition person, let's just say you're paying them 15%. Let's just say you're at the high end, right? They're only getting commissioned on the deals that they are involved in. Mm-hmm. But what happens a lot of times is you end up having 2 or 3, your business starts growing, you have 2 and 3 acquisitions people, and they're making 15% on whatever they bring in, but you only have 1 dispositions person a lot of times, right? That's what we found ourselves in that position. The dispositions person doesn't need to make the same as the acquisitions person in my business, because they're getting fed on every deal that comes in, and so they start being a little bit overcompensated because, you know, you may have an acquisitions person that's bringing in the lion's share, but they only get commission on what they bring in. So for us, our disposition person for years, we ended up changing the structure, but he made 8%. You know, it was a little bit lower,
Yeah.
but it's because he was getting everything.
Right.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. And in a flipping company, you know, pretty much your realtor is your dispositions person if you're going to put those things back on the market. You know, I think there is no, like I said earlier, there's no step-by-step on exactly who. There's a guide, and depending, great place to come and figure this whole thing out is Flippacking Live.
Yeah, 100%. You guys, listen, we said we were at a conference this weekend. It was fine, but we're a little spoiled. We go to Flippacking Live. We speak at Flippacking Live every year. This year it's going to be October 14th, 15th, and 16th in Orlando. But Terry and I go to this. We've seen the evolution of Flippacking Live, how it's grown and become a real spectacle. And so I think, in all fairness to any other conference that we may ever go to, we're spoiled because we've literally seen the best real estate investing conference on the planet Earth.
No doubt.
And so it's always going to be probably a bit of a letdown to go to other ones. But it's just because Flippacking Live is so killer and it's so focused. What I know about Flippacking Live and what I love about it is it's not heavy with vendors. It's not heavy with trying to sell you all these different things. It's just person after person going up on stage who's really, really exceptional at some part of the business, and they get up there and the directive for them is teach. Tell people what you're doing and explain how you're doing so well in this particular area. Like, just give it all away. Tell them everything. Explain to them from A to Z how they do it. Give them all the tools they need to go and implement it. That's what's really unique about it.
It's awesome. I mean, it's changed my life. Even as someone who's been doing this 5 or 6 years and been in the 7-figure altitude group for years and years, I'll go to Flippacking Live and I've got 20, 30 pages of notes every time. And you know who else is in Orlando, Florida?
Hello
there, Mike. Mike?
The big. Oh wow! I didn't know we were doing voices. I love it. Yeah, the mouse is there. And
That's right. Come visit.
I don't know if I can
Flippacking
talk.
Live 2021.
I'm watching at the audio peak when you do that. It's so funny. Yeah, guys, go and bring your family. Now, listen, if you were planning on going last year and you were like, well, it's going to be virtual, like, yeah, you know, they're live now, right?
Yep.
These events this is going to be live, guys. So if you for whatever reason decided not to go to Flippacking Live last year, that was probably a huge mistake, but you can make up for it. It's going to be live. It's going to be in Orlando. You should go and check that out. And I've said this on stage before, and it sounds a little bit harsh, right? But tough love here. If you are truly serious about your real estate investing business, whether you're just trying to get started or you've got some traction, you're doing some deals, you've got some kind of a business going, but you want to grow it. If you are serious about that, and you're not just doing lip service, right? You're not just sitting around telling your friends you're going to be a big real estate investor someday, but you really actually mean it in your heart of hearts, and you don't go to this event, I question how serious you are. I just do. I've said it on stage to people. If you're not here, if you decided to come here, good on you, because you're in the top, couple of percent of people in the United States who are doing real estate. And if you don't go and you think there's something better you can be doing for those 3 days, I don't think you're that serious. I think you're just lip service.
No, you're right. I mean, Las Vegas has that consumer electronics show. Like every sector of business has their flagship event.
Yeah.
And this is house flipping and wholesaling and real estate investing's flagship event.
Yeah,
and
100%.
It's going to be awesome. Hope to see you there.
By the way, we've seen people go to that event as like people who just wanted to be in real estate. And then a couple of years later, they're on stage presenting their $1 million business because they've just created a 7-figure business. It happens, guys. We've seen it happen more than once.
Yep. Hope to see you all there.
Absolutely. You guys got to be there.
Okay. This was fun, Mike.
Yeah, this was different. I'm holding a microphone, very odd.
Yeah.
I'm a big baby. My microphone's usually put in place for me. But this has been fun. I've never done one live like this. Honestly, with another person. It's very cool. We're gonna have to do this more often. We just had some Philly cheesesteaks before we did this.
Yeah. Might
have been a mistake. We thought we were gonna be burping in each other's face, but we're not. But man, we've had some good food here. We've had some good time. The conference was fun. We got to meet some great people, and I'm just glad we got to do this. This was fun to do this.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, we'll see you all at Flippacking Live, and until next week.
All right, we'll see you guys.